Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Medicare for All is comprehensive. It covers all health care needs for senior citizens. It will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know
Second of all.
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all.
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
Except for the part where you really don't want anybody to ask you the question about what it's really going to cost. If you watched last night, you saw, first of all, it was very interesting because they're going to have to eventually face off if it continues to go the way it's going. But right now, they're kind of running, if you will, interference for each other. They're sticking up for each other, and that is Warren and Bernie Sanders. But it's so funny because Bernie doesn't want people to ask the question. He doesn't. Neither does Elizabeth Warren about how much all of these things are going to cost. And anytime you dare ask a question about that, they scream Republican talking points.
You think he came off as more of a socialist tonight than usual?
Well, I think he came off as not liking the private economy. Let's leave it at that.
He accused Jake Tapper of using a Republican talking point. Isn't a Republican talking point to ask what something costs?
Yes.
And how does you mean it? Is it are you allowed to ask? Will the taxes go up in a Medicare for a lifetime?
It was a great question.
Yeah, it was. Anytime that they came back, and look, I'm not a fan of Tapper and them, and I saw that there was a lot of flack. I didn't think they did a bad job. And I reminded everybody over and over, and I will do it going forward every single time there's a debate. The moderator is as important, if not more important, as far as getting us the answers that we're looking for to the questions than the people answering them. Because if you allow the people answering the questions to walk all over you and to just spew their talking points, that doesn't answer any of the questions that people really have. And that question is, how much is this damn thing going to cost? It's a fair question. You want to eliminate private insurance. You want the government to run everything. And last night you came across, Bernie, as somebody who really can't stand anything that has to do with the private sector outside of the money it can provide for all of the things that you want. It's that simple. And anytime somebody asked a question they didn't like, they just said, oh, it's a Republican talking point.
We are the Democrats. We are not about trying to take away health care from anyone. That's what the Republicans are trying to do. And we should stop using Republican talking points in order to talk with each other about how to best provide that health care.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the talking point from an American that's an independent that hasn't made up my mind who I'm voting for in 2020, right? I want you to dazzle me and wow me. I see you guys up there, and you're talking about stuff that I know is going to cost a ton of money. And if you get even one of these things through, it's going to cost you a ton, let alone all of them. It's nuts. It is. And it's fair to ask the question. How much is this going to cost? How much? How much? You pushing back by saying that's a Republican talking point is a bunch of crap because you don't have the answer. And the answer that you would give and the way that you try to explain it, it doesn't add up. It just doesn't. It's crazy. And remember, every time they come out with, well, it's going to cost this, it's government. For God's sakes, it's government. Nothing ever costs what it says it's going to cost.
And look, I just think his answer and Senator Warren's answer to anyone who criticizes one of their plans is that's a Republican talking point. That's an intolerant approach.
Yeah.
You need to say, why is my
Warren
plan
did
workable?
That too once.
Why is your plan workable? How are you going to pay for it? And how are you going to get it done? Those are the three questions everyone should answer. And I don't think they could answer those questions.
No, they couldn't. But it doesn't matter because it all sounds great. Free is not free. I can remind you that every day. Let's talk about what you would pay. You know, they talk about Denmark, because he's always talking about Denmark. You're going to pay 50% in taxes. You're in California, average median wage is what, about 70 grand? Give or take? So if you got to pay 50% in taxes, you'll probably still have your state tax. So now you're up to 60% in taxes. You're going to have a 25% value-added tax onto every good unless you buy a new car, right? Like if we're going to do the Danish plan, so you buy a new car. By the way, tax on a new car, 180% in Denmark? Well, yeah, we're not going to do those kind of things. We're going to have to pay for a lot of stuff. But if we raise our taxes 50% for the average person, you're not paying your copays. That's great. You're not paying for health insurance. That's great. But you're in a captive system and your bills are still the same. Goods have become, what, more expensive. If you make, I was just sitting there thinking, the average, what's the average? $1,800 to $2,000 is what the average person is probably paying in California for rent, and some for mortgage. And if you walk with $2,800 a month, and you got to spend 45% just on that, goods have gone up, you're coming up short every month. You don't care about health insurance. You're like, I got to get out of here. It's nuts. We have a right to ask the damn question. I don't care what state you're in. You have a right to ask the question. What's this going to cost, and what's the likelihood of this getting done? We haven't even talked about the Green New Deal. We haven't even talked about free college. We haven't talked about any of those things. We're on one thing, and you're like, that's a Republican talking point because you don't have an answer that's real. Last night, what you saw was moderate step to the front in some cases and say, this isn't going to work. You're living in la-la land. This isn't going to happen the way that you think it's going to happen. You could talk about all of the other things, that you think is going to take place, right, under your plans. But even one of these is going to put so much pressure on the economy and the individual that you could set us back years. I'm not saying we don't look for a better way. Absolutely. But a lot of what you want to do, I sit here and scratch my head and go, the unseen consequences of this are going to be huge.
With bad policies like Medicare for all, free everything, and impossible promises that'll turn off independent voters and get Trump reelected.
Yeah. And that's real. That is real. So tonight, you've got yet another round. Tonight's going to be one of those nights where they're going to come in and Biden's on display. And I think Biden is going to fight back. I don't think he's going to be pushed around. I think others are going to attack him rather than Kamala Harris. And I know the age thing is one of those things that keeps getting brought up. But I remind everybody, I want to go back a long time ago to a guy by the name of Ronald Reagan, who addressed the age thing in a very hilarious way in a debate against Walter Mondale. And if Biden takes just a little bit from this, you could shut a lot of people down.
You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
He made Mondale laugh. But they're going to play that. Right? They're going to play the race thing. They're going to play the age thing. He just needs to be Biden. If you're going to be something tonight, be exactly who you are. You took a dip really quickly in the polls, but nobody was able to capitalize it. I mean, you since started to march ahead again. And slowly but surely, you're raising money. You're holding a good lead, but you've got a target on your back. And tonight's the night where you have to fight back. The Democrats, you saw it last night. You have progressives versus moderates. You have people who are reaching out to independent voters, who are reaching out to the just center-left Democrats, right? The pro-union members, Second Amendment, but not crazy social Berkeley Democrats, Manhattan, New York Democrats, not those kind of elitists, we're better than you Democrats. Just the average Joe, the plumber guy. Remember him? Just that person. And there's plenty more of them than the others. And you've got to reach those people. And that's where Joe comes in. He's got a chance tonight to go out there and to solidify, hey, I'm the person for this gig. I get it. Yeah, I've been around a while, but I've seen a lot of things. I understand a lot of things. And no, we're not going to save your world. And no, I don't want to take away your health care. And no, We're not going to do all of these crazy, grandiose things, like take away personal responsibility by saying, well, you don't have to pay back your loans. I mean, we're gonna come at it in a different way. That's what's going on now. And the other thing I would do tonight is avoid talking about the Republicans and Trump. This should be about you. Remember, you have to win the nomination first before you run against Trump. So what do? Make it about you. Now, if they ask you a specific question, Trump did this, how would you react to that? That's fine. But I saw too many times last night, people brought up Trump and the Republicans, and they weren't debating last night. They weren't on stage with them. Living in their head rent-free. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Got a question today. It's a very interesting question. I got a poll question up. Would you rather have a magical penny that doubles in value every day for 31 days or $1 million cash? You can text me at Chad Benson Show or you can tweet at me. It's very interesting. Love to hear from you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Bernie wants a magical penny. He wants magical beans. Inside these beans are healthcare. I watched the opening to CNN. Well, I didn't watch. I listened to it, the opening of the debates, and to listen to, and now, and they just went into this, and he's a moderate, and she's this, and from the Midwest, the milquetoast Amy Klobuchar, and the pachoo. It was hilarious. Because Zucker, man, Zucker he's about showbiz, right? And so he wants it show busy. And it was a little show busy last night. Doesn't mean we got the answers we wanted, but it was show busy for sure. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Ah, man, wireless earbuds. I'm going to go work out at lunch. I'll have my wireless earbuds. I'm going to run around. It is amazing. I got the E50s from Raycon. If you don't know what these are, Ray J, he's a music producer. Guy's an entrepreneur. He's worked with a bunch of people, and they've helped put this together. The best earbuds around. Stylish, absolutely comfortable for sure. True wireless audio technology that is amazing, and the comfort is incredible. Half the price, better quality, better sound. Don't go out, because a lot of people look and they go, I'm going to buy this, that. You got stems. You got that dangling thing that hangs from ear to ear. It's even though it's Bluetooth, it's still got wires. Don't do that. Do this with these E50s from Raycons, and it is incredible. So amazing. They sound great. Here's the other thing. When you talk on the phone to somebody, they'll tell you they don't hear any noise in the background. They hear nothing but you, and you hear them clearly, and it is incredible. Get yours today. Tons of fun colors. Absolutely incredible. Unbeatable prices. And now use my code, save 15%. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. That's BuyRaycon.com/Chad. 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
The Fed chairman saying this rate cut doesn't necessarily signal more to come.
I don't know whether that'll happen.
Which angered President Trump, who tweeted that Fed Chair Jerome Powell, quote, let us down with that statement. Mr. Trump saying we are winning anyway. But I'm certainly not getting much help from the Federal Reserve.
Okay. Here, let's understand something about the Federal Reserve, right? And I've always said this. As much as it's analytics and math and looking at stuff when it comes to interest rates and whatnot, it is also kind of an art form of trying to be a predictor in all kinds of indicators like consumer confidence and whatnot. What he did today was make money somewhat cheaper, if you will, for the average person. But his move was more about other countries and their economy globally than us, bracing ourselves for the what-if scenario. So you never know what's going to happen. It is very much we're going to have our economic guy Mark Hamrick on Friday to talk about this and break down the numbers, which will be coming out either later today or tomorrow. What's trending right now? I found this to be very interesting. I'm doing this on a daily basis because, for all the stuff we talk about, the reality is what trends is big when it comes to social media. Right now, today, right, in the last 24 hours, the Reds-Pirates brawl, which was hilarious. I don't know if you saw that. Producer Phil was awesome because in the middle of the fight, nobody told Yasiel Puig that he had been traded to another team, so he's fighting, and they're like, oh, wow, and he's not even on the team anymore. The Irishman, which is the new Scorsese movie, and I read a great article. This is a Netflix movie, and Scorsese, they gave him $150 million. He said, I've always wanted to do a massive blockbuster, huge movie with everything, and I've never had that. And once in my life, I wanted to do one, and Netflix said, here's this. They also have a movie coming out later on this year with The Rock, $200 million. And Michael Bay has one as well because they're really pushing, trying to do some other things because they realize that, man, we better start making ourselves autonomous in a lot of ways because they're losing a lot of stuff as everybody's starting their own subscription service. The Fed rate cut, Zach Greinke and Mario Lopez, which we'll touch on in a little bit. Yesterday, the number one thing the thing that mattered yesterday to me was Marianne Williamson was like super up there. The Dem debate might get some run today, and it'll usually be a singular candidate that people aren't familiar with. Don't be surprised if tomorrow Andrew Yang, the Yang dog, I'm pulling for the Yang tonight. I really, really am. But Marianne Williamson, always entertaining. She is. She's fun. I don't know how long she's got. I don't know how much money she's got, but she was number one. That's twice in a row. She's been the most searched candidate when it comes to debates. And there's a dark force out there. I'm just letting you guys know that. And she is here, and she's going to sort it all out because it's a dark force, an evil force, an underbelly of evil. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Also, a math problem is trending right now. We'll touch on that. Mario Lopez going to jail for feeding cats? What? Kids, we're just getting started. Hold on. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Night 2 of the debates. I started to think to myself, like, all right, who is... So last night, you got Bullock's probably not, even though it was his first night, he probably isn't going to make the next one. It's going to be tough for some of these people. You got to think about the money you need to raise to stick around. At this point in time, even if, like, I was sitting there, I'm watching Delaney, right? Like, it just, did you see that way? John Delaney is pretty successful, right? And they asked him, you're worth like $60 million, what your net worth is. And in this day and age of what they're pitching over here, Elizabeth Warren and them, they're going to hit you with that, wealth tax. And she's like rubbing her hands together. Did you see how excited? She's like, oh, she did the O face. Like, how excited is, I can't wait to get a hold of your money. When people tell you about the greed of corporate world and Wall Street and whatnot. And look, I'm not saying there's not greed. Poor people can be greedy too. Don't tell me they can't be. There's a reason people play the lottery. It's not so they can win and stay where they are. Well, Chad, they're just trying to better themselves. Yeah. Come on. We all want to make a little something, something. We all want a little something, something. But just to watch is like, they can't wait to get a hold of other people's money. They can't. So I looked last night. I'm like, Delaney's probably gone. It's Bullock probably gone. Warren, Buttigieg, Beto, he's holding on, and he's just. Have you seen anybody minus Howard Dean? Right, but Howard Dean was a moment, and then people are like, whoa. But Beto he felt like there was something there. I mean, it's Vanity Fair. And then he went on this bizarre apology tour. And it was just like, wow, that was really weird. Like, and, so I don't know if he'll hold on. Marianne Williamson would be interesting because if you guys didn't know this, the last debate, she trended big time on Google Trends. From there, tons of Republicans started donating to her so she could get herself to the next debate, kind of like American Idol, the vote for the worst thing, and that's how you got Sanjaya, and who was the other, what was the kid's, the Asian kid who was,
William Hung?
William Hung. So those kind of things. So we'll see. We'll see what takes place. And tonight, I look around, I'm a Yang fan, right? I don't think we should give people $1,000 a month. And I'll tell you why. That's his big thing. He wants to give every American, rich or poor, $1,000 a month. Right? And you're like, oh, for me, I got no problem with that. Right? And I'm be a little obnoxious here. I don't live paycheck to paycheck. I'm blessed. I work hard. I have another business. I pour a lot of money into the economy and the people that I work with. But you give me an extra $1,000 a month, to me, it's like, well, that's money I can invest or, and do some stuff with. But if they give the average person who may be struggling and is on food stamps, this, that, and the other, they give you $1,000 a month, right? That if you get $1,200 a month in benefits, you'd only get $200 more a month in benefits, and that $1,000 is supposed to take care of the rest. My problem is people are irresponsible. So if you give people $1,000 a month, what do you think a lot of times is going to happen to that money and where it's going to go? It's not always going to go for the responsible thing, and then we're back in a situation where we're going to try to figure out how to help people who got the help they needed and then pissed it away. Yeah, I don't think so. So what did people think last night?
Who do you think did the best tonight?
I think Warren did.
Warren. Who do you think did the best?
I would say Warren.
Who do you think did the best performance?
Warren.
Warren also. Who do you think had the best performance this evening?
Warren.
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 Yeah, I keep saying Warren, but you guys keep saying Warren. And who do you think did the best?
Warren.
Warren.
Why? What did she do last night that was so amazing? She gave very little specifics. If you asked for specifics in healthcare and some of these other things, and then she came out that bizarre, I want to promise the world we'll never use a nuclear weapon unless they use a nuclear weapon on us. And I thought to myself, what the hell are you doing? Like, for all the worry of Russia, if I'm Iran, if I'm potentially North Korea, if I'm China, and yeah, maybe if I'm Russia, my goal is to do all I can to not only sow more discourse in this country, but to get Trump out of there, right? Because if I'm Putin, I'm like, I'll deal with any of these people, right? Because remember, for all of the craziness of Trump, sanctions, and he sold weapons to the Ukrainians, he's done a lot more. And if I'm the Iranians, oh my God, yeah, are you kidding me? And the Chinese, they're going to lift these tariffs. We'll be back in business. We can do whatever we want. It'll be great. Nobody's going to be tough. And if I'm Iran, I'm like, hey, they're getting back in the deal. Let's get this thing going. Well, we'll get this thing back. Woohoo. Just saying. What about Bernie?
Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren did not sound that much different in their comments tonight. Why has nobody said anything about Bernie Sanders?
I think with Bernie Sanders is, if you would have asked me in the first half, I would have said he's definitely winning. But in the second half, he went and kind of fell into his old shtick of talking about the top 1% and not really answering the question that was asked, but going back to that. This is your time to say something new. Please say something new. I want to like you.
But there is nothing new. I mean, even with Warren, there's nothing new. It's the same old. The moderates last night came out, and you could see it was kind of like, it's kind of like Fortnite, right? Like, the last one's going to survive in this group. But those two kind of teamed up to take everybody on, and they would stand, they would defend each other at times. And, I look at that, and the moderates were coming, and some of them sounded good. The Hickenlooper, probably not going to make it to the next one, right? So they sounded decent. I'm like, you've piqued my interest. You don't sound insane. And all of the stuff they want to give away, it's just, can you imagine that? Can you imagine for a second what your taxes would look like? You may have free stuff, right? But you got no money. Oh, yeah, I don't like that. Somebody who listens to the show and we battle back and forth all the time, very progressive. She just tweeted out a little while ago. She said, wait, did Bernie say that he's going to raise taxes on the middle class? And then she says, me. I Googled what middle class is. 40,000 to 135,000. That's me. Hell no, Bernie. Yeah. I mean, picture living in a place where you make $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year. You're taxed at 50%. But all of the stuff that you're going to pay for now is going to go up in price because we're going to have to value-added tax to take care of a lot of other things. So now you've got 25% on a majority of goods, not counting your local taxes and your federal tax. So now you're down to 22,000 take home, maybe 20,000 take home. And you might have some write-offs and some deductions. So we'll even put it just everything said and done half. So $25,000. Your rent didn't go down. Your mortgage didn't go down. Your car payment didn't go down. Your choice went away. And, what exactly does healthcare look like if all you have to do, if you're a hospital and you're like, hey, you know what? We're just going to pay Medicare rates, and their hospital's like, we're not going to be able to stay in business. And all of a sudden, doctors start to leave, and you start to have less and less a choice. Just curious. What does that look like? When people ask the questions and their talking point was, well, those are Republican talking points. No, those are individuals on both sides who are asking the question. I like my insurance. I would like more transparency. I'd like you to do something about pharma. And I'd like the rest of the globe to start paying their fair share, if you will, of our ingenious inventions of many of these pills that help everybody else. So why don't you figure some of that stuff out? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Mario Lopez is apologizing because that is what you have to do in this woke world for being absolutely an honest person, talking on a podcast with Candace Owens, the hated right-wing commentator who used to be liberal. But they were talking about all kinds of stuff. It was a 40-minute podcast, but somebody found something in there to be offended about, and it had to do with kids who are trans.
I am trying to understand it myself, and please don't lump me into that whole.
No. I see you're not doing that in your household.
No, I mean, I'm kind of blown away too. And look, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids, obviously. And I think if you come from
Maybe
a place,
you should though, because you seem to be doing something right.
Well, thanks. And I always say, if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be. I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make that determination then, okay, well, then you're going to be a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be. And it's sort of alarming. And my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on.
Right.
Yeah. And so he had to come out today and do the usual because everybody wanted him fired, right? Because he was honest. He came out. And I agree. Look, at 3, I'm sorry, you're not making certain life choices. If you come to me at 7 and say, I believe I'm a professional basketball player and I want to skip elementary school, junior high, high school, and college to prepare for the draft, I'm going to tell you, get your ass in the car and go to school. Okay? All right? Jack was 3. He wanted to be a fire truck forever. Not a fireman. He actually wanted to be a truck. At no point in time did I think, well, I think we should start giving him oil treatment and we'll get a hose attached on him and then we'll make him a trans machine. Never happened. It never happened. He's being honest there. He also went on to say, look, I'm not one to tell people how to parent. He also said, when you become an adolescent and you get older in your life, those are the times you start to discuss stuff like that. You shouldn't be discussing sexuality and things like that. Kids will be curious. You ask a question. You don't need to go in deep. I understand what he was saying. The reality is this is the problem in today's world. People want to know why Trump. That's why Trump. Because a good majority of Democrats are like, that's insane. You can't have that kind of conversation? No, you can't. Not today. You can't at all. And he's had to come out and apologize because people want him fired. They don't want him to even apologize. They want him to apologize and then be fired and have his life ruined. That is insane. It is. It's just, I sit here and I scratch my head. And, you know, for all of the openness and the kindness and all of that stuff that the left talks about, the reality is they're some of the most intolerant people I have ever met. I've lost more than a few friends because I don't hate Donald Trump. I don't like him either, but I tolerate him. And I'll give him props when props are due, and I'll call him on BS. You know what I've not ever done? I've never gotten rid of any of my friends or people I know based on their political beliefs. They want diversity as far as looks, but if it's diversity in the mind, they'll take a pass. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson. Shoo is your Twitter. Got a poll question up. We're going to touch on that. See how you guys do on this. And we've also got a math question that was trending as well today. I have it up at Chad Benson Show on the old Twitter. Check it out. Happy National Avocado Day. I hate avocados. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
After permit problems, financial problems, venue problems, and more, organizers finally throwing in the towel, saying in a statement that they worked hard to put on a festival worthy of Woodstock's 50th anniversary, but in the end just couldn't get it done. This comes after Woodstock 50 lost at least 2 venues its major financial backer, and headliners including Jay-Z and Miley Cyrus dropped out. A last-minute effort to make it a one-day concert outside of Washington, D.C. also didn't work. The 50th anniversary of the iconic festival is August 15th.
Yeah, that is not a shocker. I'm surprised they kept that thing alive that long. It's just, putting on a show is expensive, man. You lose a ton of money. A ton of money. And I don't think, getting it right is so hard. And there was one of the first festivals ever. Here's a little something, was the US Festival. I don't know if you guys remember that. Bill Graham, not Billy Graham, but Bill Graham and Steve Wozniak put it on. And it was massive. And it was 2 days or 3 days. And it was weird. They had like one day, it was a Friday, September, it's like Labor Day weekend. They had, God, I want to think it was like modern / new wave. Then the Saturday was kind of the rock, and then Sunday was like superstars. So you had the English Being, Oingo Boingo, and there was more people that you can believe that. This is the 80s, right? This is the 80s. It was insane. They lost $12 million. $12 million. That was the 80s. Imagine what it's like now. It's tough, man. Jay-Z ain't playing that for free. He may do Coachella, but he ain't doing all these things for free. Somebody's getting paid. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. All right, so there is a question that is stumping people on the internet. Weird, right? Remember, what was it like? Was it the dress that was different colors? Remember that? Like a dress, like, is it blue? Do you see blue? Do you see gray? One of those things. Well, there's a math question. It's been trending throughout the day. I put it up. And, of course, on the old Twitter, people give you different answers to it. And they're like, wait, you're right. So it is 8 divided by 2, parentheses 2 plus 2. Check it out. Remember, there is, in math, there are certain things you must do first. And a lot of people are getting it right and they're getting it wrong. Could it be 2 answers? People are holding up calculators, 2 calculators side by side, and they're telling you 2 different things. And we're going to get climate change right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I love hearing from every single one of you. Oh man, I don't know what tonight. I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking for. And if I'm Joe Biden, right? So remember, Iowa, New Hampshire, we're February 3rd, 2020. This is what you're aiming at. You're running to be the nominee right now. You're not running for president. They all say the same thing. When I become president, what they should say is, when I become nominee, I'm going to show you guys. And so usually in these things, you go to the extremes, right? You've got to appeal to the, a certain amount of base, but that you figure is there, but you've got to touch everything. What's happened now is the extremes are running the left side of the party. And last night, the moderates, having seen what took place with Joe Biden, and he said he's expecting a ton of stuff tonight, and they're going to want a lot of apologies for him even having talked to people who were segregationists and having to work with them. But if I'm him, I saw myself take a dip, and then I saw myself rally and hold steady and even pull away from some people. I stay the course. I be the voice of reason and let them come at me. And then also hit them with something that needs to be hit with. How are you going to pay for that? How does that work? I'm curious. I would love to know. Do I get a unicorn? Maybe a griffin? Are there rainbows? Tell me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're moments away, and by moments, years. You guys watched the opening last night of... Not a lot did. 8 million people watched. 8 million. So what is there, 150 million, 160, 70 million? I don't know how many registered voters are in America. I mean, give or take on any given day. But, 360 million people? So 8 million people watched. Probably, even though it may have won the night, barely beat out The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, one of those shows. You got to think to yourself, really? Like, if the Pirates fight and the Reds fight last night outdid you on trends as far as Google and elsewhere, I don't know. But tonight, another battle. And the question is going to be, how does Joe, they probably just woke him up a little while ago. Joe, wake up. Joe, get up. What? They're going to call you sleepy. Now get out there. I'm waiting for somebody on stage to call him sleepy. Yeah, Trump's right. You are sleepy, Joe. But they're going to come after Joe tonight. How does Joe handle it? Simple. Just be Joe, right? Which usually gets you in trouble. But based on all that I've seen, we've thrown sanity out the window in all of our politics. So just be Joe, right? The problem was when you ran before, you ran in a day and age where you screwing up, people held you accountable. Nowadays, you can just be Joe. We got craziness going on. Kamala Harris, I don't think is going to come after him. I think it's going to be more Cory Booker tonight. I think that's going to be where they're going to be headed. But I want to see, look, I want to know about healthcare, right? Like, what are you going to do? Because what I heard Bernie and them talk about last night kind of makes me go, really? Are you like, wait, what? You want to do what? Right? You want to do what? And don't ask Bernie and Elizabeth Warren any kind of question that has to do with how you're actually paying for this and who's going to be paying for it besides just the rich. Because he was cantankerous.
Medicare for All is comprehensive. It covers all health care needs. For senior citizens, it will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know.
Second of all.
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all.
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
Yeah, you wrote the bill, but that bill's not law. And much like everything else, Bernie, what does that really look like? Everybody wants something for free. And when you tell them, and again, words matter. When you hear the word free, you're like, oh, you've piqued my interest, right? You've piqued my interest. When you hear the word free, you think to yourself, what's the catch, though? The product sucks. It's horrible, right? And then you go and you're like, well, it's free, but. It's like, you buy something and they say it's free. Try it for 30 days. And then after 30 days, you can cancel it at any time or they charge you. You forget they charge you and you're like, So it's not free. Bernie's plan, like a lot of them, lack in details of who's actually going to pay. You say, Bernie, the middle class is going to pay. We're going to raise taxes on everybody. The middle class is going to pay. We're going to eliminate all private insurance. We're going to make it illegal. And the middle class, we're going to raise your taxes. Okay. What does that look like? Right? It's not going up 1%, 2%, 5%. What does it look like? You talk about Denmark all the time, right? You talk about it all the time. Denmark. That's all I hear. What does that look like? Because 50% is about the average rate over there. So what does that look like? Is it 50%? So you're making $60,000 in California and 50% is gone. So you're making, $30,000 a year in a place where the average rent is anywhere between $1,500 and about $2,500 for a one bedroom. I'm curious, what exactly does that look like? What happens if? And last night, people got on Jake Tapper. I thought he did an okay job. He tried to ask some questions, and the minute he did, he got shot down. Those are Republican talking points. No, those are questions that people want to know about. Immigration was another thing. They came out last night, and of course they did their thing of, they're not criminals, or these people are da-da-da-da. Tim Ryan finally stood up, and he said something real.
We've got to get rid of Donald Trump. But you don't decriminalize people just walking into the United States. If they're seeking asylum, of course we want to welcome them. We're a strong enough country to be able to welcome them. And as far as the health care goes, undocumented people can buy health care too.
Yeah. Okay. So you can buy health care too. That sounds great. Right? So we want to welcome through the ports of entry, not elsewhere. Right? For asylum. If you want to buy it, that's fine. Giving it to you is another story. Right? Because I could go to Europe and I can buy insurance for the time I'm there. Right? So that should be fair. But they're not going to give me insurance. Right? But then Bullock came out and he was like, hey, I'm going to just a smidge of reason. He's trying to do something he's trying to appeal to both sides. How about this? How about I just tell you the honest truth?
I think this is a part of the discussion that shows how often these debates are detached from people's lives. We got 100,000 people showing up at the border right now. If we decriminalize entry, if we get health care to everyone, we'll have multiples of that. Don't take my word. That was President Obama's Homeland Security Secretary that said that. The biggest problem right now that we have with immigration, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah. And I can't blame. Here's my problem with Donald Trump when it comes to immigration. I didn't like the family separation and the zero tolerance policy. I didn't like that. Right? I can't blame Donald Trump for what's going on at the border and the flood of people that were coming here because they've been coming here for a long time. I can't blame him for that. Since the late 80s, people have ignored it, what's going on, because both benefited from it. And you've also got to look at the fact that, somebody a few years ago figured out how the asylum process worked and worked it in to the point where now people know exactly what to say in a situation, and they're doing it. We got to fix the problem. But if we're going to give everybody everything for free, we cease being a country. That's insane. If you come through the port of entry, you should be able to apply for asylum. The wait while we try to vet you as best as possible is going to be much shorter than if we catch you elsewhere. If we catch you elsewhere, it should be a criminal thing. You've crossed over into another country. And we're going to have to keep you longer because I'm not sure if we can believe you. Should we not do that? I mean, and the thing is, when you ask these people questions, what are the answers? Well, I want to be strong on border security. Okay, what does that look like? Because what I hear is I want to be strong on border security. I want to follow the laws that are there. Yet when people apply for asylum and they get denied asylum, you don't want them to leave either. That is open borders by what? By a different name. I think people have, and the average Democrat is not for open borders. My God, California is a sanctuary state. Last year, Berkeley did a poll, and they were not for being a sanctuary state or for open borders. And I think people were shocked because the average Democrat's not. So tonight, I want to see if it's going to be one of those situations where what? We have people that come on stage and deliver something of substance, may not get behind it 100%, but I can go, okay, right? You had a few of those last night. The moderates took on the uber progressives. But the thought process of everything's for free and it's not going to cost anybody anything is insane. That is fantasy land. It is absolute fantasy land. And nobody ever wants to talk about the what if, which is what you're supposed to do. Your plan when everything goes to hell in a handbasket because you thought, hey, I got a great idea. We're going to give everybody the same health insurance and doctors will continue to work and it'll be fine and hospitals will be fine and their cost isn't going down and you're paying them less. You do the math. What happens when you can't afford to pay them anymore? Where else are you going to get the money? There are so many questions that need to be asked. And when's the last time? And I'm serious. When is the last time that the federal government did anything that came in close to any kind of budget? Questions that need to be asked across the board. Tonight, Biden has got a target on his back. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But you're going to, we won't have Marianne Williamson to have fun with tonight. But I'm pulling for Yang. Let's go, big Yang. What, he had like a minute and a half talk time last time? Something ridiculous. Pipe up. I don't even think he's wearing a tie. I like it. He just comes out. It's like, what's up? I'm the Yang dog. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Remember Osama bin Laden? Well, he had like 900 sons, but one of them's like, I want to be just like my dad. And he is now.
Hamza bin Laden's last public statements came just last year when he threatened his native Saudi Arabia with violent jihad. Back in March, the State Department offered a $1 million reward for his capture, calling him a key leader, possibly hiding out just as his father did in the Afghan-Pakistan region, Syria or Iraq. No word yet on where he's believed to have met his fate.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you where he met his fate. You tell a guy who's got a family of 5, who knows things and hears things on the street and does stuff, and there's $1 million reward sitting right over there. And also there's another caveat. I'm going to tell you where this guy is. You kill him, but my family wants to come to America. I'm just throwing it out there. And we want it cash, tax-free. It's possible. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. She fed cats. She fed cats. Jail time for that? Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
It is time for us to simply realize that this country will not heal. People heal when there's some deep truth-telling. We need to recognize that when it comes to the economic gap between blacks and whites in America, it does come from a great injustice that has never been dealt with. That great injustice has had to do with the fact that there was 250 years of slavery, followed by another 100 years of domestic terrorism.
Marianne Williamson. I hope she makes it to the next debate. she's entertaining, right? She is. She is. And she's appealing to people in a different way. And she also keeps them kind of, they're all asking themselves, why are you here? How did you even get here? I mean, Bullock got on the stage last night, and he's a governor. And he had to wait till the second debate. And she kind of keeps them, they're not quite sure how to take her, right? And I think they asked the same question. That I do know. My sources say they all kind of wonder, what the hell are you doing here? Like, you're getting on our nerves here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Got a couple poll questions up. Check them out. This I found to be interesting, but I'm no longer shocked by the craziness in the world. That's why we need bigger government, right?
It began with me feeding the stray kitties.
Nancy Segula lives on Havana Road in Garfield Heights.
I used to have a neighbor that had a couple of cats, and he moved away. And when he moved away, he left the cats.
Segula says the cats started showing up on her back porch.
I would always feed them and take care of them because I was worried about them, and I'm a cat lover. And my neighbors around here started being unhappy about it.
Okay, she's 79 years young. So she's feeding the cats that the jerk next door left. So what happens from there? I mean, she's feeding cats. She doesn't want the cats to starve, right? She's a nice woman with a nice sweetheart.
Nancy received her first citation in 2017, and then a couple more.
Total 4.
But her latest citation required her to appear before a magistrate who sentenced her to 10 days in the Cuyahoga County Jail.
I couldn't believe my mom was telling me that for what she's doing out here, feeding some stray animals, she gets 10 days in the county jail. I couldn't believe it. I'm sure people hear of the things that happen downtown in that jail. Not a lot of good things at all. And they're going to let my 79-year-old mother go there?
What in God's name are they thinking? Well, we don't want the strays around here. Well, then round them up. Do we not have a person for that? I mean, it boggles the mind that you have somebody going around going, that person fed a cat. Hold on, let me get my citation book out and write a citation.
I understand my mother has broken the law repeatedly with this, and that is a law in Garfield Heights. But it should have been reviewed individually. Why would you send the 79-year-old lady to jail just for feeding cats?
That it's too much of a sentence for me for what I'm doing when there are so many other people out there that do so many bad things.
Yeah, I agree. This is stupidity. First of all, do you not have a person for that? Is there not animal control to catch the cats? That's your job, right? She's feeding them. It's wrong. All right. Where's the common sense where somebody goes, look, can we just stop feeding the cats, or we're going to try to catch them, but if you could do that, and it's not a cat's fault, right? That guy left them. Why not go after that cat? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Somebody just texted in and said, Chad, the Democrats have been talking about the things. Don't stop aid to the triangle countries when it comes to immigration and stuff. They talk a lot about it, but we've been giving them money for how long, and where is that going? Very little control, handing money over to corrupt governments. We've got to do something. Right? It's crazy. No, I want real concrete plans. I think we all do when it comes to immigration, healthcare. Show us what you got. Free everything. I'll pass. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You are calling for up to $500 billion in financial assistance. What makes you qualified to determine how much is owed in reparations?
What makes me qualified to say $200 to $500 billion? I'll tell you what makes me qualified. If you did the math of the 40 acres and a mule, given that there was 4 to 5 million slaves at the end of the Civil War, there were 4 to 5, and they were all promised 40 acres and a mule for every family of 4. If you did the math today, it would be trillions of dollars. And I believe that anything less than $100 billion is an insult.
She's fun. That's Marianne Williamson last night on the stage, and a lot of people are probably going. And I will tell you this. I know because I talked to a couple of people last night who feed me stuff, my sources, and they were there last night working with candidates, and they were saying all the candidates say the same damn thing. What the hell is she doing on stage? By the way, the number one most searched candidate last night, Marianne Williamson. Are you understanding that? Let's take a look at what's being searched right now. Google Trends, babies. Number one right now, the Reds-Pirates brawl. The Irishman trailer came out. That's Scorsese's movie. Right? Not a lot here. Mario Lopez is on there. We'll get to that. Yesterday, the number one search thing, Grant Thompson. We'll talk about him. Trevor Bauer. We'll talk about him. And Marianne Williamson at number 3. 500,000 plus searches yesterday. The Democratic debate, by the way, wasn't really searched. Just singular people were. So we'll talk about that. Oh my God. She's fun. She's fun. And I wonder if she's going to have the same, because last night, like, Delaney's gone. All right, well, I think we can realize that. Hickenlooper's holding on by a thread. There's a few people that are on that stage last night that will not be on that stage. And you've got to have, here's the other thing. She's probably going to have some money, and you never know. You know, we joke about her being Oprah's, spiritual guide, but Oprah may throw her some cash, right? So, and the Republicans donated the hell out of her campaign last time because it was the vote for the worst. Very much a Sanjaya American Idol thing where they want to see her continue to go on. And this is as much about money at this point in time as it is about ideas. Right? Ideas will really come later when you can start to break them down over and over and over again. This is still, you got, 60 seconds at best, a few interruptions, no real rebuttals, talking points more than there is. Let's talk and debate real ideas here. So I wouldn't be surprised if she sticks around. But a few other ones are going to go by the wayside. I think you're going to see a little bit of that tonight as well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We live in a world of wokeness. And to be woke, you must take anything anybody says, figure out how you can make somebody who's quote unquote in a protected class a victim, and then tell that person who supposedly victimized said individual or a group of people that you must be fired from your job, your show must be canceled, you, sir or ma'am, must pay penance of never working again and going off and dying. Case in point, Mario Lopez, right? He's conservative, right? Conservative dude. Was on with Candace Owen, the ever popular and always controversial Candace Owen, and they were talking about all kinds of things, one that included kids that are younger who now are starting to say, I'm going to identify like this or I'm going to identify like that.
I am trying to understand in myself, and please don't lump me into that whole...
No. I see you're not doing that in your household.
No, I mean, I'm kind of blown away, too. And look, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids, obviously. And I think if you come from
Maybe
a place...
you should, though, because you seem to be doing something right.
Well, thanks. And I always say, if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make that determination. Then, okay, well then you're going to be a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be, and it's sort of alarming. And my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And he went on to say, and they're like, well, you should mind your own business and let you and parent your kids. And he said that over and over again. I'm not here to tell anybody how to parent their kids. And if there's a discussion to be had about sexuality and things like that, 3 years old is not when you do it. It's not. You wait till it gets your child gets a little bit older. I mean, when Jack was 3 years old, he wanted to be a fire engine. Was I supposed to dress him up in metal and send him out? Because he's trans machinery? And yeah, I find some of the stuff that you see in this woke, crazy progressive. I'm not talking about Democrat. I'm talking about crazy progressiveness. I find some of this stuff. I sit back and I look and I said, oh my God. Right? But you can't say those things. Because the minute you do, you're what? You're transphobic, you're homophobic, you're some sort of phobic. And so for that, having an idea that goes against somebody else's idea is automatically anti-somebody, which means that you must be punished. And that's a bunch of crap. It really is. So today they're calling for what? For his head. They want him gone. You need to go. You need to go. We need to fire him. He needs to be gone. We need to cancel his show. Right? And all the while, I can guarantee you, 99.99999% of the people who are calling for that never heard the interview, never watched the interview, have no idea who Candace Owens is, but saw it on a tweet somewhere because somebody who's walking around, who's probably not even trans, is complaining and protecting. They feel like, hey, I've got to protect people. And this is what I'm going to do because I need to make myself this way. And, they talked about the fact that, hey, a lot of it's virtue signaling. And I think that's so true. So much of it is virtue signaling. They want to feel like they've got some sort of look how open and amazing I am, and I'm going to virtue signal it, and this is the right thing to do. And there's a lot of people out. I talk to professors. I talk to a couple scientists who I wish would come on the show, and we talk about climate change. And we talk, I'm like, you need to come on the show. And they're like, no, I'll get in trouble. And they go along with the thought process of, yeah, man has done some stuff to this environment that we need to look at, but a lot of it is just very natural. It's very cyclical. These are the things that have happened. Can't put 7 billion people, concrete buildings, and all kinds of stuff and not expect some sort of reaction. But it's not what everybody's screaming about. It's not the craziness that they're screaming about. But if I say that, I'll get in trouble. And out of fear, people keep their mouth shut. That's so stupid. It is. I mean, I see it with the Republicans and Trump, for God's sakes. Out of fear, Republicans keep their mouth shut. When, you know what? It's good to criticize people in your own family. It's good. If you think they've done something wrong, absolutely. You come out and criticize. Doesn't mean you don't love them. Doesn't mean, but it's all right. But there's so much fear in speaking the truth. And all Mario Lopez says, at 3 years old, I think it's a little early to make that kind of life decision. I agree with him. But hey, in this day and age, if you don't agree in the right way, could cost you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from every single one of you. Yesterday, Charles Barkley went to the Democratic convention. It was very interesting because they were talking to him before about all of this, and he'd never been to one before, but he was very honest about a lot of things, including the Democrats and Republicans.
Now, I believe you've been pretty outspoken about the Democratic Party sort of neglecting black voters, right?
No, taking black votes for granted.
Right. And what, do you feel like it's different this time around?
I do not.
Really?
No. I think all politicians take black folks for granted. They talk to black folks every 4 years, and that's about it. And how they're going to make our lives better, and they do nothing about it. And both parties suck in that aspect. It's not a Republican or a Democrat thing. It's not a liberal or conservative thing. It's an economic thing.
Yeah. And here, first of all, the conservatives and Republicans failed and continue to fail when it comes to getting out there in the inner city because they've given up. They just quit. And you know what? That's on you. And you guys suck. Liberals and Democrats, you figure, I've got this in the bag. Why do I even need to try? And you don't care. I mean, look at Detroit. Look at a lot of big cities across this country. And, Baltimore is getting a lot of publicity. And, everybody's like, it's racist. No, you know what? It is. First of all, if you want equality in this country, criticism is a great place to start with this, right? I'm criticizing you not because of the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, or your religion, but because the job that you're doing in a certain area is lacking. And Baltimore's a mess. It is. He's right. 50, 60 years. Democrats have just what have you done? The failure over and over and over again in inner cities and urban areas. It's just failure after failure. You talk a good game, but when it comes to delivering, you don't. And now, if you're an African-American voter, you're absolutely looking around saying, well, wait a minute here. Man, they're fighting hard at the border, doing all of these kind of things, and they're telling us how great it's going to be for us. But I see us, if you will, going down the pecking order here because there is more Latinos and Hispanics in this country, and we're going to be now really taken advantage of and for granted. But the Republicans fail over and over again, and they're miserable at just any of their plans. It's just awful the way that they fail. I sit here and laugh, but he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Both sides don't care. All they care about is your vote. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I asked the question earlier, some of you texting in. If I give you an opportunity to have a magic penny or $1 million cash tax-free. Now, the penny is going to double in value every day for a month. What are you taking? Text the program, 323-538-2423, or at Chad Benson Show. Take the poll on the Twitter page. Slept great last night, even through the massive thunderstorm we had here in Phoenix. It was just incredible. I was out like a light. Thank you, MyPillow. It's awesome. Somebody asked me yesterday, man, it's like, what, $70 for 2 premium pillows? Is that a lot? No, it's not a lot, man. It's nothing. Something you're going to have for a long time that's going to help you sleep better. What's that worth to you? It's pennies. To sleep amazing? Yes, sign me up. 10-year warranty, made in the USA, washable and dryable. Stick it in the old dryer for about 15, 20 minutes when you first get it. Here's the thing they're doing for my listeners. 2 premium pillows, right? So the best pillows they have. $34.99 each, less than $70, 60-day money-back guarantee, and free shipping. Now's your chance to grab it, sleep like you've never slept before, put it to the test. Go to MyPillow.com, use the promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. 2 premium pillows, less than $70, free shipping. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, or call 800-983-4975. Use that promo code Benson at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo! Craziness abounds. Getting ready for night number 2 in the world of politics. How many people watched last night? Take a close listen to this, right? We talk politics. We talk all kinds of stuff here. But when we think about all the things that we're getting ready to vote on, everybody's paying attention, right? We must have had the entire country just watching on pins and needles at the edge of their seat last night.
A lot of people tuned in for the Bachelorette drama.
I'm not with Jed anymore.
7.44 million viewers, according to Nielsen, a 2-year high for the franchise and one of the most watched entertainment broadcasts this summer. Over on CNN, a different kind of reality show.
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
Night 1 of their Democratic debates outdrew the Bachelorette, but just barely. 8 million watched the potential presidential candidates go at it, according to preliminary numbers, proving that right now, politics is more popular than love.
Yeah, 8 million. So for just a moment, soak that up. 8 million people. That's it. Wasn't 50 million. We got, 160 million plus registered voters, 150 million. So you had 8 million people watch. So just like with the Mueller report, you think this is what people are talking about. This is what's going on. The reality is, not so fast. Not so fast. Who likes flying? Who likes drinking? Who likes drinking and flying?
Officials tell us the Delta pilot was in the security line when he noticed TSA officers conducting additional screening. The pilot reportedly turns around, leaving the line, returning later when no additional screening was underway and he was able to pass through. But TSA officers there in Minneapolis, already suspicious, smelled alcohol and alerted police. The 37-year-old pilot was in the cockpit doing pre-flight checks for the flight to San Diego when police arrived.
We love to fly and it shows. What's this button do? Yeah, solid. I wonder how many guys or gals who are pilots have pops, before they take. I'm not leaving till 6 tonight. I can have a afternoon cocktail or 8. That'll be all right. I'll be fine. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. That's nutty. Speaking of nutty, we're getting ready to blast off. Night number 2, what to look for tonight. Biden. They're coming for Biden. But who's going to stand out? You got de Blasio, and there's a hilarious. They're putting up billboards talking about you've got 0% in the polling, 61,000 homeless people. Why don't you come back? Like, it's hilarious. There's some billboards out there. I posted it on Twitter. Check it out. It makes you laugh. But Tulsi Gabbard, is she going to do anything tonight? Julian Castro, who's going to go after Biden? How hard are they going to go after Biden? And who stays the course, right? In the sense that, look, I'm here to talk about me. I don't want to talk about Trump. I don't want to talk about all of this. I'm here to talk about what I would like to do to become the nominee for this party to run against Trump. I think if somebody does that, well, you know what? We'll see. Last night, the moderates, it didn't play well. It didn't. It didn't play the way, the average person's going, I like that, but it didn't make the noise. But in the end, the only thing that you need to know about playing well is come primary time and come next November. Because you could be woke and all of this greatness here and promise the world, but on those ballots, when people are picking, that's what really matters. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You text the program, and you can check out the Instagram as well as Facebook. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The problem is that right now, the criminalization statute is what gives Donald Trump the ability to take children away from their parents. It's what gives him the ability to lock up people at our borders. We need to continue to have border security, and we can do that. But what we can't do is not live our values.
Okay, last night, between all the freebies, they got into some other stuff, including immigration. And when I listened to them, all I heard was we need to have border security with no real laying out of it. And we should decriminalize that. Look, I think if you come through the port and you apply for asylum, you're not decriminalized. If you sneak into the country, you're going to get caught. Right? Should we not have a way to vet people that are coming in our country? And one thing that's never brought up, is that should be brought up. You guys talk about the asylum laws. You talk about all of those things. They're being used against us, but I don't see how hard it is to fit. I look at this and I say, God, I've never watched people take something that should be a simple fix and make it look like it's impossible. Right? And that's what this is. They spilt milk and they're arguing over how to clean the milk up with all of the tools in front of them. And it's becoming nasty and smelly and rotten, but they're still arguing. And they're going out and they're asking other people, how do we do this? We'll need money to get more stuff. You need to put me in charge more and more. It's not that hard. But you want the asylum. You want it to be decriminalized. So what? They come across the border. We don't even try to catch them. We just let them go. Well, no, we're going to have to vet them. Right. Okay. So how do we do that? Do we just ask them, hey, what's your name? And then that's it. And that we just take their word for it. How about when they go through the process and then after going through every single thing, including their hearing in court, and they're told you do not meet the standards of asylum, you now must leave. You still don't want them to go. Then what? I hear a lot of BS. I see very little in actual policy that sounds like it would work.
Secure the borders. Make sure whatever law we have doesn't allow children to be snatched from their parents and put in cages. How hard can that be?
Hickenlooper. There's 2 or 3 last night. I'm like, you know what? I like Hickenlooper. Right? I like Hickenlooper. He seems like a good dude. He's got no chance. He's done. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Just like a lot of them. They got no chance. But when you're sitting here and you're listening to them talk and you're listening to them pander and want to give, think about the stuff that they want to give away, right? Just think about health care. Well, Chad, you can pay with your taxes. Okay. We're going to forgive all student loans. That's a giveaway, right? Right. But again, taxes. Then, of course, you've got the craziness of some are talking about free jobs programs and things of this nature. We're at the point where it's like we have no more money. And you guys can't even fix immigration. And you seem to be totally fine with anybody coming here. It's nuts. It's nuts. It is. If you come through the ports of entry and you want to apply for asylum, that's not a criminal act. If you get caught elsewhere, it is. I shake my head. And I saw nobody with any real answers last night when it comes to policy. It was just pandering.
I think this is a part of the discussion that shows how often these debates are detached from people's lives. We got 100,000 people showing up at the border right now. If we decriminalize entry, if we get health care to everyone, we'll have multiples of that. Don't take my word. That was President Obama's Homeland Security Secretary that said that. The biggest problem right now that we have with immigration, it's Donald Trump.
I'm fine with him saying that, but he's right. And it's not that Donald Trump created this mess. No, he didn't. He's addressing the mess. You guys liked it when nobody actually looked over there and saw the mess. You don't like the way he's addressing it, then fix the problem. But Bullock was right. In fact, last night, he was the first new person on the stage. He took over for Swalwell. And I thought he did a pretty damn good job. I don't know what his chances are of even getting into the next debate. But I tell you what, he made sense. And you saw people fire back last night. Are we sure everybody up here is a Democrat? Why? Because they're not in step-toe with this crazy lunacy of free everything with no real concrete answers on how to pay for it. And if you dare ask the question, you get shouted down. That's a Republican talking point. No, it's an honest question, Bernie. How do you want to pay for all this stuff? You're just like the Republicans. Jake Tapper's like the Republicans? Are you kidding me? I mean, hello, is this thing on? But if you give it and you decriminalize it, what do you think is going to happen? If you have zero repercussions, what do you think is going to happen? I'm all for listening to what people have to say, because I think that's exactly what we need to do. And we should have differing opinions, and we should try to come to the best possible fix for the problems that are out there and the things that are working right. We need to figure out how we continue to keep those things going. But what you're seeing in these Democratic debates is a fight and a civil war right now inside the Democratic Party. And tonight it's going to be pretty much the same thing. Biden is going to be the one that's going to come under fire. And I want to see if he fires back. And looking at the polls and looking at what the Democrats and independents think, they don't want uber progressive. You can ask me, does free health care sound nice? It sounds amazing. Are you paying for it? I don't have to pay for anything? Well, no, you got to chip in, and this is what's going to happen. Oh, well, that's not the same thing. Well, Chad, he tells you about that. He tells you your taxes will go up. How much? Well, they'll go up. Well, how much? Is there going to be value-added tax onto that? Well, I would like to know. Well, that's a Republican talking point. No, that's an honest answer, right? Like, if you went to a restaurant, right, and you say, you guys know prices on here. You say, well, how much is that? We'll talk about it later. No, I'm just curious. Well, we'll talk about it. If you go to buy a car, and they go, yeah, I'd like to buy that car. How much is it? We'll talk about it later. Well, no, I'd like to know, how much is this thing going to cost me? It's a Republican talking point. And then you get it. You find out, well, I thought my payment was going to be $3.50. It's actually $7.50. Oh, well, that's different. You said I was going to get 30 miles to the gallon. I'm actually just getting 22. Oh. And the taxes and my gas is going up as well. Oh, geez. No, you have a right to know. You have a right to ask the question. Nobody wants to answer the question because much like the old saying is, once you find out how the sausage is made, maybe you change your appetite. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Burgers. I'm a huge fan of the burger. And they have got out the number one rankings of fast food in America. Right? And these are real rankings. These are QSR ratings. When people always talk about what's a Q rating, all of these politicians that are going to be on stage tonight, they want to know what the Q rating is. All of these celebrities that are out there, what's their Q rating? What is your favorable rating? How many people like you? How many people dislike you? It's different than polls. They look at all kinds of things. Number one burger chain in America, right? This is a loyalty index, is In-N-Out. Followed by Five Guys, Culver's, Whataburger, Smashburger, Red Robin, Steak and Shake, all the way down to McDonald's. So 73% down to 28%, right? So that's pretty good. The number one overall chain in America is who? Who do you think? It's Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A scores a 79% overall. Raising Cane's actually came in second at 78%. I have to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of Raising Cane's. I'm just not. Not a fan of Raising Cane's. Never really have been. QRS Mexican Composite Loyalty Index for Mexican food. Chipotle, followed by Moe's Southwest Grill. I've never eaten there. El Pollo Loco. I've eaten there. Love it. Del Taco. Yeah, baby. And as far as pizza goes, Blaze Pizza comes in at number one. I've never had a Blaze Pizza. Never. So if you're looking for fast food, though, number one as always, despite the fact that they're homophobic, is Chick-fil-A. In-N-Out. I like In-N-Out. I don't love In-N-Out. I like it. But I've never been it's never my go-to, even though I grew up in Southern California and stuff. I enjoy it. But I don't eat it that much. And producer Phil, man, you land here and you're on your way to like In-N-Out.
I order it from the plane.
From the plane, for sure. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. I've got a poll question up, and we'll talk a bit about this. I'll give you the answer after the break, but I want to ask you the question. If I gave you a choice, $1 million tax-free or a magical penny, and that penny is going to double in value for 31 days, what are you taking? Text the program, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Man, ZipRecruiter is amazing. I love ZipRecruiter. I get more. So many people like, hey, I tried ZipRecruiter, and I was really surprised how awesome it was. And I'm like, I told you guys. I ain't lying. It's incredible what ZipRecruiter does. So here's the thing. You go to ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. You're going to be able to post your job for free. But when you post your job in the marketplace that we're in right now, with the economy being good, when you post your job, you're competing against so many people, right? So why do a one-off? When you go with ZipRecruiter, your job's automatically going to go to 100 plus of the web's leading job boards. But then this is where they really separate themselves. They've got smart matching technology that's going to go out there and search for the qualities and the skills that you're looking for in your job and match them with resumes. They're going to invite those people to apply. Those people apply, then they're going to highlight the best of those people. And it's no wonder that it's so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. Now is your chance to post for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. That's ZipRecruiter.com/BENSON. ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you! That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable.
This is Chad Benson.
Hey, what are you doing over there? You having a little bit of lunch?
Italy's Supreme Court has ruled that when kids bring bag lunches to school rather than eating what's provided for free by the school cafeteria, it, quote, ruins the sense of equality created when students sit down together and eat the same thing. The court wrote that when kids sit separately with their own packed lunches, it possibly violates this principle of equality, with wealthier students being able to bring more expensive food. The ruling is a response to a case launched 5 years ago in the city of Turin, where some parents wanted to opt out of the long tradition of Italian schools providing lunches.
So wait a minute here. So, because little Giuseppe, right? His mom and them have money. He's still stuck eating the crap. I wonder what an Italian lunch looks like. This is what I think it looks like, right? It's probably some sort of pasta with clams, like clam sauce, like a glass of wine and a smoke. Delivered on a Vespa. Chad, you're being mean to Italy. This is why they hate us. Oh, yeah, whatever. Just so silly. This is totally coming to America. It's probably already come to America in different places, but you know, we need food equality now. Food equality. That's what we need. Just because little Jimmy can afford sushi, right? And little Nancy can't, or vice versa, we need to make sure that we all have the same crappy lunch. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us to take or not to take when it comes to Equifax.
So do you take the cash or get a decade's worth of free online credit monitoring? Federal Trade Commission says that credit protection is a better deal. The $125 Equifax data breach settlement is nice, but the 10 years of credit monitoring could be worth more than $3,000 over time, and it comes with $1 million in identity theft insurance. The other problem, there's only so much in the Equifax settlement pot. It could run dry before you apply for and get that $125 check.
Yeah. And you're not going to get that $125. By and large, most people probably aren't going to qualify for that. They want all kinds of information. I already have credit monitoring. I have like 3 of them that I pay a ton for already. And who's going to be monitoring? Like, is it a third party that's not Equifax monitoring my stuff? I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend. Oh, goodness. Just know, everybody listening, credit monitoring is vitally important. Find a service that you feel you can trust and monitor your credit on a weekly basis. Just have a peek. It's going to happen to you at some point in time. So if you're ahead of the game, you win. Right? You win. You put something, you stop something before it starts. Doesn't mean there might not be a little fire, but there's a difference between stomping on the fire and putting it out and then it becoming an inferno. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Talk a bit about my penny that's magical that will double every day for 31 days or $1 million cash. I've given you the option. Which one are you going to take? Door number one, $1 million cash, tax-free, or a penny that doubles every day for 31 days. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Now, the biggest thing people were tuning in for tonight was to see how Arizona Congresswoman Deborah Stallings would fare in this debate. Now, I just made that person up, and the fact that you didn't know that proves my point about these debates.
Yeah, to say the least. James Corden right there. A lot of stuff they talked about last night. One of the big things, of course, is climate solutions, and I think we need to do something to better take care of our world. Do I think we need to go to the place where a lot of these people go to and the fear that they use, understanding what they're looking for in control? And that's a lot of what it is. And they're going to use these opportunities to talk about how much more power they need. And the hubris of thinking we're going to be able to control climate magically if we make our cars, run on electricity and, try to do some of the stuff. Just, it just shows you. Producer Phil and I say it all the time. What will nature do to you, Phil?
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up. And it may mess up your plans as well, but they're not stopping.
Putting $2 trillion in, so we do the research. We then say anyone in the world can use it so long as you build it right here in America.
Oh, interesting. I hear a lot of money going out, right? Like $2 trillion here, $4 trillion a year for this, $3 trillion over here, free money over there, forgiveness of this. I hear a lot of that. And when you ask, how are you going to pay for it, though? That's when you get that pushback, right? Doesn't matter what it is. And what I love about and here's another one of these crazy political divided questions when it comes to stuff. Is there's a big Google has this massive summit for climate change going on. So they're so everybody's going to get together and they're going to do what? They're going to just talk about it on Skype? No. They're going to fly there to Italy, right? 114 private jets, about 40 plus yachts. The amount of stuff that they're 100,000 kilograms of CO2 in the air. So they can tell us how to better live our lives. Celebrities, muckety-mucks, politicians. That's the frustration that the average person has. And when you look at stuff, much like with healthcare, right? Much like with, with climate change, the latest data shows, people care about it, but what are they willing to do about it? Well, I put $100 a year into getting it sorted out. No more than that. It's all great if it's not you having to pay for it. And tonight, last night you saw the moderates come out and try to take back some of the conversation. But all too often, what ended up happening was it was always back to Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders because they were the draw. They were the draw. And notice, if Bernie gets his way, the middle class is going to get a huge, 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 huge tax bill. It's going to happen. It is. People say, Denmark, 50%. I think it's 55%, but I'm just going to say 50% the average person pays in taxes. And that doesn't include the other taxes, like the value-added tax of 25% on goods. And think about this. If you live in a state that has a state tax, do you think they're giving up their state tax? I don't think so. So if you live in California and you've got a 10% state tax and you got to pay 50% in taxes, how do you live? Because your rent ain't getting cheaper, your mortgage ain't getting cheaper, your car payment ain't getting cheaper. How does that work? Your free health care costing you a lot of money. You might have to get a second job to pay for your life. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing about you. Tonight, it's going to be a different night when it comes to the debates, because I think Bernie and Warren are the uber progressives. Tonight, you're going to have some people that are going to, Julian Castro will be interesting to see how he goes. But Biden has definitely, once again, even though he had a dip afterwards and people were a little concerned, he said he's not going to be that way. I think he's going to be much more reasonable because he's looking at the polls and he's also listening to what a lot of people are talking about out there when it comes to the Democratic Party, and the large swath of them are uncomfortable with a lot of these ideas. And I think you'll see him, get his sea legs back and become more of that middle of the road, everyman guy, Middle America Joe. Speaking of jobs, I love this story. Oh, my God. Producer Phil sent me this last week. We didn't have a chance to get to it. It just makes me laugh. Kids are getting ready to go back to school. Teachers are looking around, thinking to themselves, how am I going to pay for stuff, right? It's a struggle. Well, the Seeking Arrangement website has said the number one profession on there is teachers looking for sugar daddies. So think about that. Teachers looking for sugar daddies is number one. California leads the way when it comes for teachers looking for sugar daddies. And essentially, it's their second job, right? It's a second job. It's 139 countries, 8 million sugar babies, 2 million sugar daddies, and sugar mamas. It's not just men looking for women, but it's predominantly that, But what it is supposedly is you get to hang out with a beautiful person, and you get an allowance, you get to travel, you get to eat nice things, take some of that financial pressure off. And in return, right? In return, you get to, hang out with the wealthy and the rich. And maybe you date them. Maybe something happened. Maybe something doesn't happen. I'm just saying. It's just so funny. Well, would you rather be you always hear, would you rather be, I got to attend bars at night, I got to do this. Being you got to go hang out, help pay for some of those school supplies. But, essentially, to me, it feels like a little prostitution, which is fine. Between two grown adults, who gives a rat's ass? Well, Chad, it's not really. I know it's not sold that way, right? But you kind of get what it's about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. So I've been asking you throughout the day, would you rather have a penny that's magical, doubles for 31 straight days? Or would you rather have $1 million tax-free? 32% of you say, I want $1 million in cash. The magic penny was the answer. Over a 1 month period of 31 days, that will add up to be over $10 million. It's supposed to be essentially showing you how compound interest works. And it's very interesting. There's another great way you could do something like that. If you go and you tell somebody on the first hole, hey, I will play you for a penny and then we'll double the bet all the way through till the 18th hole, especially if you're a better golfer than somebody. And they're like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. And then when you do up the math, you're like, oh, compound interest. Shows you what being a smart investor is all about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. We did this story the other day, but good news has come out of it about the Michigan kid who was being brought up on assault charges because he apparently hit another kid in the head during dodgeball. Well, we got good news.
The Wayne County prosecutor dismissing the aggravated assault charges against the 10-year-old boy, saying there is a better way to go forward. The attorney for the family of the 10-year-old criticizing the prosecutor.
She dismissed the charges because of the media pressure and because right before our press conference, but it's still not okay. We're not going to let it get swept under the rug. Something needs to change within that office.
According to the complaint, the game called Tips is similar to dodgeball, but it was over when the 9-year-old was struck in the face with the ball, leading to a concussion and cuts.
Yeah, now, the kid who threw the ball, his mom was really upset, and she said nobody knew that this kid had issues. Because apparently the kid had some medical issues. So if her son didn't know, it's dodgeball. And you're mad because they're not going to prosecute this child for hitting your kid in the head? And if your kid has that many problems that you worry about him, then maybe physical sports isn't the thing for him. Maybe chess. Maybe golf. Maybe something where there's not the risk of him getting hit in the dome. How about apples that are those apples? Right? And yeah, you know, the teacher should alert. Hey, look, this kid over here, right? He's going to play, but you guys can't throw the ball at him unless it's, at his knees or his feet. But here's the problem. Let's just say I don't throw the ball at his head and I'm a kid and I hit him in his legs when he's running. Because he's looking over here and he's running because little Timmy threw the ball and he's not looking. He's like, I'm going to go peg him. And I trip him and he falls. I mean, it's maybe the best course of action is he doesn't play. Maybe that's the best course of action. Who's with me on that? Right? Maybe mom, or if he's going to play, bubble wrap and a helmet. There's also that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That there, kids, is your Twitter. Tonight's going to be interesting, but we got a lot of other stuff going on, including the fact that North Korea is still firing off stuff, which makes you sit there and go, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And remember Baltimore? Did you guys see, I don't know if you saw this, Producer Phil, did you see they were doing a report, talking about Trump being a racist and rats and this, that, and the other, and the rat ran through the report?
I did see that.
Oh, my God. That's still, I mean, you can, Baltimore has a lot of issues, right? It does. And it's got some crime and it's got some bad areas. Every big city in America and every small area in America has their issues. This wasn't a fight between black and white. This was a fight between Elijah Cummings and Donald Trump. And people want to make more out of it because they feel Donald Trump is a Nazi and he's a fascist. I'm here to tell you guys, every time somebody says he's a fascist and a Nazi and that he's doing all of these things, the fact that they're being able to say those things and there's zero repercussions, right? Like Putin's biggest nemesis was just poisoned, for God's sakes. I mean, so every time you hear that stuff, that right there just shows you the craziness of how everybody tries to make something literally a mountain out of a molehill. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Working with an amazing organization called Wounded Paw. And the woundedpawproject.org. Check it out. I ask you to check it out. It's put together by a soldier who was struggling. He was injured, came back, and he was struggling. And a dog came into his life, service dog, and it changed everything. And he got a great idea. He realized how many vets a day were committing suicide and struggling. It was 20 plus on average. But he also realized there's a need out there to save a lot of animals. And he looked at he went and looked at all these places that are euthanizing dogs, and he started rescuing dogs and training them to be service dogs, which people say you can't do that. Oh, he shows you can. And they say, hey, look, we're saving a paw to save a life. And they get these animals after they train them to the people who need them, the veterans, first responders, and their family. And the difference it makes in both their lives is amazing. But it's not cheap and it's not easy. And they're looking for donations. It could be cash or it could be a car, an extra vehicle, RV, truck, whatever you have. They will take it. Doesn't even matter if it runs. You're going to get an amazing tax-deductible gift. And what you're going to do is literally saving a paw to save a life. Check it all out for yourself at woundedpawproject.org. woundedpawproject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. 844-678-4PAW or woundedpawproject.org. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
I tried to make that case over and over again tonight, and I'm going to continue to do it because people are watching your show right now that aren't base Democrats or independents or moderate Republicans, and we need to win them to win the election. But I think in the end, we want to have a candidate that is not running for chair of the Democratic National Committee, but is running for president of the United States. And so we have to have a clear vision that brings people together in this country because Donald Trump has been dividing them every day.
Donald Trump has taken advantage of the division we had. But I don't see, here's the thing that makes me laugh about that. You know, one of the things that the left doesn't see is the division that has also come in this country is because of the crazy, wacky political correctness and the lunacy that goes with that, right? You know, like today, everybody's calling for, essentially the career head of Mario Lopez because he says, trans kids at 3 years old. I'm sorry. That is just, that's ridiculous. And of course they want him gone. That right there, when people go, why Donald Trump? That's why Donald Trump. That's why Donald Trump. The division's there. And the left doesn't want to understand that they too have a part to play in this. He's just capitalized on it. But where are the moderates out there? Because in the end, the moderate independents, moderate Republicans, and the moderate Democrats, there's far more. We are the exhaustive majority. We will decide this election, not the fringes. We will decide. Speaking of deciding, speaking of the big choice, who won last night?
A lot of people tuned in for the Bachelorette drama.
I'm not with Jed anymore.
7.44 million viewers, according to Nielsen, a 2-year high for the franchise and one of the most watched entertainment broadcasts this summer. Over on CNN, a different kind of reality show.
I do know it. I wrote the damn bill.
Night one of their Democratic debates outdrew the Bachelorette, but just barely. 8 million watched the potential presidential candidates go at it, according to preliminary numbers, proving that right now, politics is more popular than love.
But think about this. 8 million people watch that. 8 million. 8 million. 360 million people? 8 million watched? 50 million voters? 140 million voters? Less than 10%? Soak that up for a second. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tonight, round number 2, Biden has the target. He is the leader in the clubhouse, and here comes this is the second day of the tournament, and I think he is going to be a much different. He's not going to be Sleepy Joe, but is that going to help him? Because I still think there's this push to have some new blood who's uber progressive. And remember, you're running to be the nominee. You're not running to be the president tonight. And I think that a lot of times we forget that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter and Instagram. Here is your useless fact of the day. Television, 1928. First televised debate, 1960. That was Nixon versus Kennedy. We saw Nixon sweat. Kennedy won. He didn't make that mistake again. The next time, though, wasn't until 1974 that there was another debate on TV, and since then it's been away we go. And with CNN and Zucker, away we will go tonight. More flash, more fun, more fireworks, possibility. We shall see. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. We're getting you over the hump. As always, night-night, Jack.
This This is The Chad Benson Show.